Welcome to our podcast Project Youth, Manifestation Towards Inclusive and Sustainable Housing by 2030. Under Sustainable Development Goal 11, we explore how affordable, safe and inclusive housing can shape the future of young Malaysians. Let's begin with one key question: why does housing matter so much to today's Youth? A home is more than just a place to live. It is the foundation of stability, security, and future planning for every young person. Data from the Department of Statistics Malaysia shows that the median household income reached RM 7,017 in 2023, yet the national average house price in 2024 climbed to RM 486678, about 5.8 times the median annual income. This gap between wages and housing costs forces many young people to delay their first home purchase. For young graduates with PTN loans or car payments, financial pressure becomes even heavier. Even though housing loan approvals remain around 72 to 75%, monthly affordability is still a major concern. Location matters too. Living near public transport can save both time and daily expenses. Safe and inclusive housing also supports mental health and builds stronger communities. Housing, therefore, is not only about owning property, it is about belonging to a community and having a stable foundation for the future. By 2030, the dream for Malaysian youth is to live in housing that is affordable, transit-oriented and sustainable for all.
I would like to turn to arguably the most scrutinized portfolio that you hold, and that is housing. The Madani government has pledged to build 500,000 affordable homes by 2025. What's the philosophy underpinning the government's housing initiatives? Is home ownership the main objective?
Madani government believe a shelter for all is part of the good policy, because one of the 6 pillars under the Madani aspiration is the government has to be compassionate, and everyone deserves a shelter above self.
Does shelter mean owning a home?
Owning a home. Why owning a home? Because buying a property is one of the best way to fight inflation. It is also one of the way to create wealth and preserve wealth. Just like the BFM slogan, busy finding money. And property investment is one of the best investment. Over time, it has been proven. For instance, if you buy a land in Kuala Lumpur 50 years ago, you may sell it at 10 times or 20 times. So that is what I mean of wealth creation and wealth preservation.
Okay, so in that sense, home ownership is still...
That, of course, wealth is secondary. Most important is we believe Malaysians deserve nothing less. Malaysians deserve a decent home, which comply with certain qualities like affordability, accessibility, sustainability, decent community, and connectivity.
Right? Okay, so that's the principles that are underpinning the kinds of houses that you want to provide. I would say that home ownership for everyone is going to be a tall task, just given the shortages in the sector, and maybe we'll dive into that. For me, at least, there is some confusion between policies meant to encourage the development of affordable housing and affordable housing by and for the private market versus social and public housing that is funded by the government through taxpayer money. So how do we distinguish the two? Because every government announced initiative about housing seems to have the Madani label, and funds could come from either public or private.
Right.
So how do we distinguish that?
Under the 12 Malaysian plan, the government has a very clear vision that is to offer 500,000 units of affordable housing. So far, we are glad to inform you, we have achieved 69.3%. That we take a whole nation approach. You cannot depend on the government alone. We work together closely with the private sector, and we impose condition on the private housing developers to also build good quality but affordable home. So there's a reason why, as at to this morning, we have 364,000 units of affordable homes being offered to the market.
That has been taken up?
Many of this has been taken up. Ever since that we took over, the overhang properties has dropped from 33,000 to 23,000. And I am confident the number is going to reduce again. For instance, this year, Malaysian property market has started to see a very strong momentum. In January, KPKT set the target to achieve 100 billion sales of properties this year. Fortunately, we are happy to see that. We are delightful to see that the momentum is so strong that we have achieved our KPIs for the first 6 months. Okay, we have achieved 100.5 billion sales in the first 6 months instead of waiting until December. Therefore, we are confident to see this year Malaysian property sales will achieve at least 150 billion. Okay, maybe a new record is in the setting. This is a very good sign because real estate sector is related to 200 industries: banking, legal firm, contractor, supplier, furnitures, whatever, in home design. So when the property sales are good, that we can see that many related industries will be given job opportunities and their income will be increased. So of course, these are one of the vision. We believe that property market is going to be stable and strong for the next 2 years because we have just gone through the low cycle of the property development in the past 10 years. There's a reason why when we come in, we have always engaged the private sector. We discuss with the Home Buyer Association, we discuss with REDA, and also the many academicians so that we can formulate a policy that is stable, strong, and healthy.
All right. So from your explanation, at least in terms of the private sector market for housing and for affordable housing, more importantly, you say that it's going in the right direction. I do want to ask, though, how then do you compare that with the public housing initiatives that is being launched?
This is a good question. Of course, we can't depend on the private sector to build all the affordable housing because the number doesn't work. They need to generate profits in order for them to sustain and survive. But whereas for government, we have a social responsibility. Therefore, under the Madani government, I'm very thankful to Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim, who has agreed to allocate nearly 1 billion annual budget for the ministry to carry out our social housing program.
This 1 billion for 5 years?
No, 1 year. Okay, 1 year. KPKT has a few programs. Number one, we have Rumah Mesra Rakyat under the SPMB. It means that any villagers who own their own land, they can apply and for us to build. SPMB will build the house for them at the price of 75,000. They only pay 55,000. Every home, the government is giving them incentive subsidy or ampao of 20,000 per home. This year, we have completed 5,000 units of RMR. Second category, to take care of the M40, we have Prima Home. Prima Home, okay, that is to cater for M40 families and selling at the affordable price from 390 to Prima Premier for 420 in Klang Valley. So this year, we will complete nearly 8,000 units, okay, for the affordable Prima Home. And now, the third category is we are coming out with PRR, called Program Residency Rakyat, benchmark against HDB Singapore and Japan, Korea, and all those developed countries. We want to make sure that we believe the PPR in the past, which is a stand-alone building, is no longer welcomed by the people. People want well-integrated housing development where under one roof they have many common facilities and of course a lot of convenience. For instance, they will have bank, ATM machine, convenience shop, surau, community hall. This will be a new concept which is going to be introduced next year. That's why we call it PRR. PRR, it will take the cost. We come up with a new policy. Any party, from the state government to private developer, so long that if they are willing to surrender their land to the ministry, we will give top priority to build PRR on their land. After I have announced it in Parliament on the 18th of March last year, we are delightful to inform you, we have received 32 offers from various state governments who are willing to surrender some strategic land for us to bring PRR to their stakes. Apart from the stakes, we also have a new policy that we encourage private developers. For instance, let's say they want to build a new township for 100 acres. They can't build all high-rise, high-price condo. They also need to build affordable housing. Therefore, some developers can consider to donate, surrender 5 to 10 acres of their township to the government, and we will bring PRR to their township.
I see.
Okay, so the cost, by doing so, our land cost is zero. Therefore, with the limited allocation, we can build very good quality homes equipped with all facilities because the land cost is zero.
Land that's being provided for the principles that you mentioned, the connectivity, the location, and all of that sort, before you agree. So these PRRs aren't going to be in the backwoods of a particular state, for example.
Definitely, we have a SOP. Any states who surrender the land, we will have a technical team to go on the site and make that evaluation based on the requirement. So not all lands are suitable. So we only choose the land which has great potential to be well integrated into the community that actually comply with the condition that I said. For instance, it has to be accessibility, sustainability, connectivity, affordability, and actually another aspect which is very important, to have a decent community.
All right. Talk to me about the rollout of the PRRs. What is the timeline of implementation that you see? When will the first projects be launched or start being built?
Wait for the right timing, but it's going to begin next year.
Okay. I want to maybe just clarify something, because in August, the Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, announced that the housing developments in Kuala Lumpur will need to incorporate 1 or 2 blocks of Madani units. This is essentially strong-arming developers to build affordable housing alongside upscale residential developments. Is this what you were referring to when you said that developers are being asked to donate some land or some part of their development for affordable housing?
Of course, it is all on voluntary basis. When it comes to the social obligation, we want to work together. Like what I have said, we want to take a whole nation approach. We believe that we are actually on the same page with the private developer as well. While they are building, there will be a cross-subsidy scheme. For instance, we have successfully launched the first residency Madani at Old Klang Road, Taman Desa, whereby 800 units of the high-rise condo, which will be only selling at 200,000 in KL. This is unprecedented, and we managed to do it if all parties work together.
Can I ask, one of the proposals being tabled for Budget 2025 is the Madani deposit, which will provide a maximum value of 30,000 ringgit to first-time homebuyers, with conditions, of course, to assist in monthly payments for the B40 and M40. Now, the policy no doubt has its supporters, but some would argue that financing initiatives like this don't address the actual structural problems of housing affordability and only serve to normalize high home prices.
That is not true. In fact, deposit Madani is something which is very much welcome by the young people, especially the young graduates who is going to get married. One of the main reasons why people can't afford to buy a home is bankability. For instance, Grab drivers, gig economies, because they don't have documents to support their income. Therefore, it's very difficult for them to get a bank loan. So when deposit Madani if it's clearly accepted by the Ministry of Finance. We have set the program for 3 years. Every year we'll come up with certain sum. For instance, we have proposed next year, we are prepared to offer 10,000 new home buyers. Everyone aged 21 to 40 who buy their first house ranging below the price of 500,000. The government is going to help you to pay the first deposit 10%, which is not more than 30,000. So that once the 10% issue is solved, the bankabilities will use another scheme which we call SJKP, Scheme Jaminan Kredit Perumahan. Prime Minister has approved 10 billion, a guarantee for buyers to buy their first home. So when they buy, they take the loan from Maybank or CIMB Bank, for instance, right? This bank loan will be guaranteed by the government. Therefore, with Deposit Madani and SJKP, this two-pronged strategy, we basically solve the bankability issues of the youth. So that when they have this, then they will start servicing their loan, and under the Bank Negara guideline, they will be allowed to service their loan as long as 35 years. They stretch up to 35 years for them to slowly pay. Home ownership is very important. It's not only for the quality of living. It also helps to the stability of the nation.